We perform because of our irresistible urge to motion. We want to move from A to B in space and time. A being what we know and where we are. B being where we could be or ought to be. In other words, the irresistible urge to move is constituted by a conviction that A, which we know and where we are right now, is inadequate for our desires or capabilities, and could be improved upon to approximate more closely those desires and capabilities to the destination. B is thus always attached a higher value, whether we are conscious of it or not. That is why you are not likely to have ever heard of a performance whose implicit or explicit goal is to make us worse than we currently are. We perform because of our irresistible urge to motion. We want to move from A to B in space and time. A being what we know and where we are. B being where we think we could be or ought to be. In other words, the irresistible urge to move is constituted by a conviction that A, which we know and where we are right now, is inadequate for our desires or capabilities, and could be improved upon to approximate more closely those desires and capabilities to the destination. B is thus always attached to higher value, whether we are conscious of it or not. That is why you are not likely to have ever heard of a performance whose implicit or explicit goal is to make us worse than we currently are.
Hello, 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 is everybody hello? Just nod if you can hear me. Is everybody home? Come on now. I hear you feeling down. Well, I can't need you back. And get you on your feet again.
Why?
For the sake of the hassle.
Since when are you interested in my hassle?
I've got €20 I can borrow.
€20? What do you need €20?
Oh, well, see, my school's going on a trip and I forgot to pay for the bus.
Where?
Come in and jail.
No, I saw man giving you money last week. What did you use that for?
I went to the cinema.
Man, you can't be asking Ma for money to go to the cinema. She's stressed enough as it is.
I know, that's why I'm asking you.
No, when I was your age, I had a job. You're in your leaving third year. You shouldn't be studying.
I should be studying. Are you serious? That's the only thing I do. It's just night and day study. I just want to do something different.
No.
Come on, please.
Why do you want to go so bad?
Guess I'm gonna miss out.
Why do you want to go so bad?
Because all my friends are
I know when you're lying. Why do you want to go so badly?
Because I'll be left in the school if I don't.
So?
Well, the only people who aren't going on the trip are the ones who are suspended.
And?
Including Daniel Merton and Ty Gilstrap.
Jesus Christ, man. Is that still going on? For fuck? Mate, you need to start standing up for yourself. You can't be like this all the time. Me and Matt can't keep coming to the principal saying, oh, he's getting bullied, Mark's getting bullied again. Keep on
Do
getting bullied.
you want to give me the money or not?
Mate, for fuck, you need to start like joining a boxing club. A lot of young lads your age are doing MMA and all that. Well, you really need to sort yourself out. Run! At least build up some muscle somewhere. See you later.
Age is a strange thing, isn't it? I find myself always waiting until I'm older. I think my better place is in the future. Once I'm out of school, things will be better. Once I'm in college, life will be more interesting. Once I move away, things, I can start fresh and be who I want to be. That's the thing I always look forward to when I'm older, but turning that age has never really been that exciting. But I still have hope that when I'm older, things will be better. I don't know what better is because things aren't that bad to start off with, but I hope that maybe they'll get more exciting or something. Who knows? 'Tis a nice thought.
It went well enough, as usual.
Oh, it's good then. Would you like a drink? I have here some tea and the finer sort of biscuits I know you like.
Thank you. No.
And more for me. What say you we escape this cloistered henhouse tonight? There's a mask I would see. When I lived with my father, he forbade all merriment, and that included the viewing of heathen masks. Let us have scores tonight. What say you?
Jessica, there is a matter of some delicacy I will speak to you about.
What matter could be so delicate?
It's difficult to give breadth to the words. Jessica, my patron would have me abandon you.
Abandon? What do you mean abandon?
We go our separate ways.
I knew it. I never liked him. The bastard. Why does he care?
He says that now that I've come into the full commission of the church, and when music is much sought after by the nobility, we must take care of who sees me, where, and with who. Who sees me sees him.
What are you talking about?
It is not seemly for a Christian composer of my stature to be seen with a Jew's daughter.
I had wondered when it would come to this.
Yes, well, here it is. I must be plain with you. I'm leaving. Stay if you want. I care not.
Wednesday in May 2008, I got fired from my job. I was a clown. An actual clown. And my girlfriend dumped me. So, I booked a flight for the coming Saturday. I started packing, and by the time I'd finished packing, I had decided that I was moving to Liverpool, and that was it. I was going to be a songwriter, guitar player, and I was going to be a musician, and that's what I was going to do. So I tentatively went downstairs, told my mother my plan. She looked at me like, "You're insane, but sure, fuck it. What's the worst thing that can happen? We'll learn something." And on Saturday, she drove me to the airport, gave me a hug and a kiss, I shook my father's hand, and I got on a plane with a guitar, a suitcase, and this notion that I could be an artist. When I look back now, though, when I think, it's 10 years, I'm getting married, thinking about children, would I move back to Ireland? And the answer is, I don't know. I doubt it. I've already spent 18 years of my life there, and the world's a big place, and we don't get a lot of time on it. So I would like to have the experience that I had in Liverpool as many times as I can. Go to somewhere that you've never been before. Maybe set up shop and adapt to whatever culture or whatever that area on this rock can offer or provide. It's really exciting. I love it. And I've been trying to travel as much as I can. Since leaving Ireland, out of respect for leaving Ireland, I wasn't just trading Ireland for somewhere else. I was trading Ireland for everywhere else. One thing that does kind of upset me when I go home, and it probably shouldn't, is when I think of some great musicians and artists and actors and poets, or people that aspire to be those when we were young or younger and hopeful and full of beings, is when I go back and they're still working in the same pub 10 years later. And they just are void of any aspiration to do anything but earn money and pay bills. Like, I can name loads that were, maybe born gifted with more to offer than me, but never got out of first gear, never realized the possibility. Now that all sounds kind of negative, when I say it. I'm not saying that everybody in Ireland is stuck in Ireland, but there's a few. Sure, who knows? I get hit by a bus tomorrow.
Left Ulster in Ireland for mainland Europe. They took the British crown to its knees over the course of the 9-year war. but were ultimately defeated in the Battle of Kinsale. This was the closest Ireland came to ending British conquest in Ireland. The Flight of the Earls was not only significant because it made way for the Ulster Plantation and the final subjugation of the whole country, but it also set a precedent for what we were to do every time we faced defeat. From that date on, we left.
I'm done. Yep, that's what she's getting. I don't care.
Oh, a gun you artist, really?
Who is it?
Not telling me, you have to listen.
Better be good, because I might be pissed off
Have
there.
I ever let you wrong before?
Oh,
Do you like it?
that's pretty good. Who is it?
Ooh. Oh! Oh! Oh!
Yeah. Yeah, right there.
Oh! Oh my god! Oh!
Guys, I'm trying to concentrate.
Get it!
Oh!
Ah!
Yo, you okay?
Yeah, stitches, doctor told me it'd be a few weeks. Be okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
Oh. Hey! Yeah, how are you?
Is that?
Yeah, good.
Laura?
Shh! You're there now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, 2 minutes. I'll be there in 2. Right, bye. Church all the time, please.
Laura who?
Laura Kelly.
Oh, Laura Kelly.
Yeah.
Wow. What a woman. Tell you that. Lucky man. Yeah.
I've never seen you with a girl. Or a social life. Boy, for that matter. Like, all you do, like, as far as I can see, all you do is study. When is that? Like, you need to sort that out, because soon the leaving cert's going to be done, and then what? Going to go to college, have no friends. Again. Because I know you have me, but, like, I'm not looking.
Yeah, okay, where are you going with it?
You need to start doing something, like, films, music. Who's your favourite artist?
The Eurythmics.
Well, they're good. They're really good. No, they are not. The Eurythmics, 40-year-old women don't even listen to that garbage. That's absolute bollocks. Seriously, man. You need to get culture, like The Clash, REM. And what's this?
Well,
Yeah.
This is the Time Traveller's Guide to Elizabethan England.
That's the Time Traveler's Guide to bollocks. You need to burn that. You know, burn that real quick. Seriously. What? Okay. See this? This book. I go nowhere without it. See that? The autobiography of Kurt Cobain. Bitches, eat that shit.
You need to help me right now. Yeah, I was walking into Laura, and then, do you know Dean, the big dickhead guy player?
Yeah.
He gets in my face and starts talking with my man again, yeah? So I'm like, do something if you're gonna do something. But he got his cousin, and his cousin's like 6'8", and he's like built like a shit house. I need to come back to
Got stitches, you kick.
Mark, please.
Don't
Mark,
even-
think about this. But amount of times I helped you in primary school. You used to pick on you all the time.
This is your chance.
You used to pick
This
on
is
you
your
all the
chance.
time. And I stood for you.
No fucking way.
There's only 2 of them. I'm gonna be
Only two of them. Two against one, you're gonna be grand. You're grand.
It's not even gonna hurt that much. I'll give you an example. So
No,
we're
just-
here we go.
See, look, leave it hurt. You can take one thing. I'll take one out.
I remember the day I got my visa. Looked out the window, Newbridge Town Hall, and I realised that I hated this town. You know, I'd come to believe that I'd never get out of the place, that my life would be defined by the dole. Scraping together enough coin to try and buy a frozen pizza. Failing to get out of bed until about 3 in the afternoon. Finding myself at house parties surrounded by people that I didn't even know. My world had shrunk to the pub. Talking about darts and football to men who didn't even know my name. But this visa, it was an intervention from worried and loving family members This was my one and only way out. In Australia. Australia is like an alien planet. Like the weather is like an animal with life and soul of its own. Got my first job in Sydney, working for the wealthy middle-class families overlooking Sydney Harbour. And children's bedrooms the size of my old Newbridge apartment. I lived in a backpacking hostel. It was a 14-bed dorm. I'd listen to people shifting and talking while I was drifting off to sleep. But you know, in the first 10 days or so, I had made about 30 great friends. We'd share food, cigarettes, joints, and partners. Some people might say it was more like a commune, but like whatever it was, I felt the happiest and safest there that I have felt anywhere else in my entire life. Spent about 6 weeks there. Fell in love, and I learned so much more about myself from total strangers. And you know, I'm never going to forget that time there. So I set off for Cairns. I was told that I could find work on a banana farm. That would secure my second year visa. Turned out to be a scam. There was 23 of us, just trapped out there, not knowing where to go or what to do. We had barely any money between us, but I don't remember the poverty so much. No. I remember most everyone pooling their money together to buy a Christmas dinner. We had a 2-day celebration. Food, music, chats, more food. It was kind of like a last banquet for the condemned. But I'm now back in the great and green country. The wet and dull little place that I had left behind. Back here now after about 2 years to my real family and some of my old schoolmates who still haven't left the country. I should feel something, I know I should. Happy maybe? I don't. I've never felt emotions as intensely as I did on my little lonely adventure. And I've missed the spontaneity and the excitement of being a wanderer. I was answerable to no one but myself, and I was as free as anyone can be in this world. To return to this place after that long it's disheartening and cruel. Once again, I find myself limited in my choices and unable to afford myself the most basic of human needs. I go to work each morning through the tangled mess of Dublin city centre's Lewis Works and return to a room that I rent in Marino, a room that cost me €500 a month. I envy people who stayed away. And sometimes I wish I didn't have a family so that I could leave this country and its dysfunction behind. Where once I was a proud nationalist, preoccupied with Ireland's history and its heritage. Travelling has made me despise this place. be a good thing. You know, it's always going to be there to get us through the awful shit. I mean, what do you need in order for hope to exist?
You asking me?
Yeah. And what's the one thing that hope can't exist without?
I don't know. People?
No, I mean, it's more of an emotion, a state of being.
I don't know, man.
Despair.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hope can't exist unless there's despair. It goes hand in hand with it. So you see, it's not really a positive emotion at all, like joy, ambition, or grace. It can only exist when there's profound tragedy. People who have hope, they're not really experiencing anything positive. They're just in the throes of some situation that they have to endure, like oppression or violence, you know. So, when all those people put up their fluffy Facebook statuses with nice pastoral sentiments of hope, they're just really implying, isn't it lovely? Gentle, cheers. Meek, satisfied, and above all else, it is peaceful. Like, fuck it is. Anything but that. Hope is actually violent, black, desperate. Absolutely desperate. No one in a peaceful state of mind hopes. We're all in just a state of catastrophe. Now, and it seems that as a species, hope is the one way we have developed to cope with all this. What was no hope? Would we just have to deal with despair by tackling it? We wouldn't be sitting around and putting up with all the shit that's happening and then waiting for something better to come along. Hoping. It's kind of like opium. Closely connected to religion as it happens. And all the great powers make sure that the oppressed have at least some hope. Just the tool of the oppressor.
This is what you're doing every day in college.
Yeah, well, you know, we talk about it. Read about it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, sure it is.
You ever thought about going to college yourself?
Me?
Yeah.
College? I went. Tried it. Went to Tala, studied business with the boys. Boy didn't shut.
Right.
I hated everyone and everything about the place.
Fair enough.
Hated the course. And I just said, fuck it, you know. I got a job here and I just stayed.
Not for everyone, like, you know.
Not for everyone.
So, you know, not college, you ever just think about emigrating and just jumping ship?
Emigrating. I don't know, actually. My girlfriend, well, ex-girlfriend, she moved to Australia. She's a nurse. I know how bad it is for nurses here, so...
It's just a big old jump.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's very hard to keep the long distance. We didn't even attempt it, to be honest. And yeah, she left, but I thought about maybe going, but then, you know, things got away, and I don't know. I'm great. I don't know. Okay. What about you? Have you ever thought of skipping town, I suppose?
Yeah. I've been thinking about it for a while, and a little bit ago I decided on Dubai. So, had it in my notice, and it's the next 3 weeks. Hopefully I'm going to be going over there teaching English to little children. You have to do a few courses in that, you know, just that you're not teaching them bad English, obviously. But, yeah, 3 weeks.
3 weeks? Wow, that's really soon.
Yeah.
We'll miss you.
I'll miss it as well, I suppose, yeah. But here. Anywhere else is better than this kid, though.
Yeah.
Plus you get more hours.
Get more hours, yeah. Chords, K, needs to be changed. I'll do this, you do that.
Yeah.
Need any help on the computer? Okay, maybe that's all. Yeah, we'll do these.
Oh, yeah.
What's the crap, man?
Sorry, man.
See you. How are you doing?
Yeah. Where you been?
I've been flat out of college this month, man.
Really?
Literally, it's my first weekend in absolute easy.
Oh, it's done.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Here, can I get a point of chords?
Chords has just been changed. 9 again will have to do me, man.
Perfect. I'm going to go bathroom.
Work away, work away. Yeah, I think it's here. Okay, lads. What is happening?
Can I have one of Guinness?
No Guinness, can't be changed. You lads don't have gender. Smithies?
Yeah.
Irish?
Okay, that's fine.
Cool. Drop around here, lads, no?
No, I'm from Spain. He's from the Republic.
Spain?
Yeah.
Where about Spain?
Barcelona?
We're doing a Erasmus program, kind of. We study here at university, send us here to study now, so.
Cool.
Oh, boys, what's the crack? Come here. Long time no see. Come here. How you doing? I really didn't think you guys would find this game.
Google Maps.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah. Mine's not going like that.
You like it, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really old, man. Yeah. Did you have a fight ready, did you?
Yeah. Didn't know you knew the lads there.
Yeah, actually, I was doing the Erasmus.
Erasmus, yeah. Where, never asked you before. Where are you from?
Ireland.
Where are you from?
Ireland. Where are you from? Ireland. Come here to me, would you have asked him the same question?
No, sorry.
No, but I asked you a question. Would you have asked him the same question you just asked me?
No.
When I finished college in Cork back in 2012, I was living with my best friend in a tiny cottage on a hill overlooking the city. He was still in his final year and we were inseparable from one another, going out getting hammered, basically living up to the stereotype of the sensitive, artistic young man. I was on the dole and he was still studying, so we had no money between us, but we always had great crack, going charity shopping and finding the odd gem, playing in a band together, and eating pasta and pesto for breakfast because we spent all our money on drink. It was all very romantic. And then nearly at the same time, my first love broke it off with me. And my best friend started seeing the girl who happened to be his first love. So as his relationship was blossoming, mine was, well, dead. I suddenly found that I had no girlfriend, no job, and no college to go to anymore. All my friends that I had studied with had gone off to what I thought at the time were bigger and better things. I was sad. I was wandering around Cork wearing a long coat, feeling very sorry for myself. Eventually, I just couldn't hack Cork anymore, and I moved back home here to Kildare with my dearest mother and father. I was still very much heartbroken though. I was reading lots of Beckett and feeling generally miserable. But my mum and dad did say they were very happy to have me home. Thinking back, however, they were actually despairing. I was misery to live with, utter misery, grumbling around the house and being stroppy. They encouraged me to try and find a part-time job, and I thought to myself, yeah, that could be good for the morale, honest toil and all that. So I ended up getting a part-time job for Christmas in Kidston, in Kildare Village, which was a particular highlight of my life. Putting labels on floral bags and rose-patterned mugs in a freezing cold storage room, and then on lunchtime reading the Ballad of Reading Jail to prop up my own self-importance. I just felt so deflated. I'd gone to study art. I'd been inspired. I'd taken in this amazing wealth of knowledge, and here I was, back in Feckin Kildare where I started. So after Kat set me free from her employ, I was back in the old rock and roll. But since I was living with Mama and Papa, I only got half dolly. So that was another great boost to the ego. I was just trying in vain not to get a job that wasn't in Tesco or, God forbid, Maxwell. I had no prospects. I just didn't want to spend the rest of my life in the tiny town that I grew up in. And although I loved this town, I aspired to better things. I felt I was wasting my talents. I just didn't want to be going into NACE every Friday and Saturday night and shift someone I went to secondary school with. Aim for a nurse or a teacher, that's what Uncle Owen used to say to me. I was nearly 25, and I felt that I wasn't going to make a single euro from art. Fumbling in the dark, I went to a careers fair. and I got talking to this real-life English person who told me about a master's course in a place called Manchester. My despairing angel of a mother booked flights for me the next day to go to the open day, and I went over. It was pissing rain, and with 2 years of wallowing in self-pity on my back, my confidence was at a low ebb. I just didn't know if I could hack this place, but I knew for sure I couldn't go back to Ireland. But I was accepted on the MA course. I packed my bags, and before I left, we had a little going away party with all my remaining friends. The next day, I walked on to the bus stop with a pair of sore heads between us. It was the one I went to college in Cork with, and we ended up crying our little sensitive eyes out. So I had a suitcase full of books and a suitcase full of clothes. In the car were my nan, my mum and my sister. Me trying to be as stoic as possible in my grandmother's sheepskin coat. Before you know it, I was on the boat off to England, living up to another stereotype, the departing son. It's been 2 years now since I left. And yeah, I miss some things. I miss my mum and dad. Gran and Grandad are getting pretty old now. And I miss Jasper, the dog. But leaving saved me. Leaving gave me a whole new perspective on life. Being a foreigner in a foreign land makes you clutch fiercely onto your own identity. Before I left Ireland, I didn't really have an interest in Irish writing, but now I'm into the likes of Brendan Bean, Sean O'Casey, Christy Brown. I thought it was better to move and drown than stay and smother. Ireland sometimes is more beautiful at a distance. And who knows, I could come back and live here one day. But my new Manchester lot might take a bit of persuading. You know how the English are. She's not a nurse or a teacher. Sorry, Uncle Owen. I don't know. Moving's better than sinking.
There was two of them. Yeah, two. Maybe it was three. I can't remember. Yeah.
You must have an intro or something to get to. Three guys.
I wouldn't go that far. Yeah, I got a bit roughed up. You should see them.
I think so.
Yeah. Oh, this is good. What? Like.
I left because of a love affair. My partner's French. We've been living in Dublin, on the north side, just off the North Strand. After knowing each other about 2 weeks, we moved in together, at the start of 2010. We spent 4.5 years in Ireland as a couple. She fell in love with the place. I was indifferent. We moved to France at the beginning of the summer in 2014. At the beginning of every summer, I'm summoned home to sit exams for a degree I'm doing by distance education. I stay with my parents for a few days. My mother refuses to let me cook for myself. I get reacquainted with the joys of Dublin bus. I hit university libraries. No need to worry about most of my old friends because The majority of them have long since fled the place or lost touch anyway. Now we live in the south of France, close to Marseille. It's very hot 6 to 8 months of the year, and very cold the rest of the time thanks to the wind, which the locals call la minstrel. I've grown to appreciate Ireland in a few new ways since I moved here. First of all, there are no fucking mosquitoes in Ireland. It's one of those things you don't quite realise until the unexpected opens in your life, and in they swarm. I can't sleep when one of those little bastards invades my room, and somehow, despite every precaution being taken, always find a way in. This kind of thing has the potential to end relationships. Between us, we've solved the problem. Separate bedrooms. I'm now convinced that separate bedrooms is the key to most rock-solid, long-lasting relationships. We've been together 6 years. Mosquitoes joined us in year 3. Separate bedrooms, year 4. We've never been happier. I work in French schools as a language assistant. All the schools here cater to both sexes, have canteens. All schools here are secular. Would I move back to Ireland? No. Not for the time being anyway. I'm learning a second language, which I've finally started to fall in love with. The first year and a half is bollocks. I still speak French like a Frisian bullock, but I'm getting there. The French are much more humorous, or literal about things, but they're humorous. A lot of the cultural references that come up in conversations still go way over my head, but honestly, I don't give a damn. If I could speak to people that are considering emigration, I would say, don't just go for the obvious. And by that I mean English-speaking world. Think continental Europe. It's a lot more closer to home, yet so much more alien. But don't expect to sleep. Bring repellent.
Don't even think about it. I'd be careful with that. Yeah. Allow me to ask you a question. What is it that brings you to my establishment?
Well, I want to learn to play music.
Play music? Oh, adorable. You're going to have to be a bit more specific than that.
Good music?
Good music. Like, you want to start with a musical instrument for sorts?
Yes.
Okay, allow me to ask you another question. Do you know music?
No, sure, I want to learn this.
Okay, then do you understand music? Do you think music is still a hobby?
Yes.
Music is far from a thing. Oh, music is a change. Music is more along the lines of a battlefield. Get down the ground now! You need to be prepared for the unexpected under the battlefield. Quick, name any 5 members of the Beatles! Quick! We're losing time!
There's only 4. John, George, Ringo, and Paul.
Excellent! Now, who am I?
What?
I'll change the scenario, my dear. Music can escalate things and it can drop things to a whole new sensual.
No, I'm not following.
No? Game over. Okay, I'll give you one more try. Get up. Good. You've ended your career. You've got the car, you've got the baby, you've got the money. Music. Music. Now, what music will go with it? Say along the lines of, say, excellent, you passed me. Okay. No. Definitely not. You are a warrior. This is your life.
Welcome to the war. Or by war, I mean band. Yeah, you should really learn to be contract with. With your gig this Saturday, 7 o'clock from the lot.
No, wait.
Everything was difficult for me in Ireland. Even getting out of Ireland was difficult. I booked a 1-year holiday visa to Australia. I packed up my things and made any arrangements I needed to make. And the time came, and after a few complications, many tears, 5 plane trips of 50 hours, I finally made it to Perth. I never really got homesick. I think you have to invest yourself and build the life that you want to live. I think I was meant to come to Perth and meet my partner Mike. It all fits right now, as well as life can. Things aren't perfect here. I worked really hard doing farm work to get my 2nd year visa. I find it hard to go home. The first time was the worst. I don't think I'd realised until then, but I never really fit in. I didn't really like growing up in Naas. I had no feelings towards the place. I felt like just another number in school. I faced this underrated student in a manky maroon jumper. I just had countless moments where I get a dry throat and I'd want to get back on a plane. I just knew I couldn't be there. I do find that Ireland is slow. Things don't move quickly. There's less of an awareness of the passage of time. Things like social security claims, processing car insurance, setting up a bank account and getting a mobile. Sometimes these can all take days, whereas in Australia, it can all happen with the click of a button. And the Wi-Fi is horrendous. I've had experiences here that I wouldn't have had anywhere else. I get up at 5:30 a.m. and I do yoga or extend bar, and sometimes we watch the sunset over the ocean on Trig Beach. I've been cautioned for driving too slow, as if that would happen in Ireland. I've travelled to Sydney and Singapore by myself, and I fed the elephants in Bali. I've built a person that I like, and I have faith for what comes next. Sometimes the scariest journeys, the ones that dry up the back of your throat, or the ones that make you feel like you're in a dropping elevator, those are the journeys that actually end up bringing you home.
Where's Ma?
Out.
What?
Out. What?
Where's there's the version?
At the shops.
What shops?
Did
Why?
Stop biting. What?
Here's that 20 quid that you owe me. Where's that money for ukulele?
You see.
Right, you go play that upstairs on the watch telly.
Oh.
Mark, please, just go upstairs if you want to play that, man.
You know what you said.
Mark.
No, I was here first.
Mark, go upstairs if you're going to play that fucking thing.
No, I was here first. This is my house too. What's your problem?
Yeah, it's also my house, and this is a sitting room where people watch television. Go upstairs and play that fucking fucking lady. Did I not talk to you the other day about manning up? What is that? And you buy a fucking ukulele?
What has that got to do with a fucking musical instrument? What are you talking about?
Because look at the size of it! Buy a fucking guitar or something! Fuck you. Mark, go upstairs and play the fucking thing. Play it. Can you stop shaking your leg, please? I can see it in my peripheral.
Stop shaking your leg. Are you fucking serious? That is literally the pettiest.
I swear to God, Mark, please just
Stop
go
shaking your
upstairs.
leg.
Go upstairs. Go upstairs.
No! Not going to shake both of them.
Mark, go upstairs. I am not in the mood. Go upstairs. You can clearly see I'm in a bad mood. Clearly. But no, you want to fucking sit there and piss me off, don't you? All you do is think about yourself. It's fucking ridiculous. You don't see how much me and Ma do for you. You don't see how much I have to give Ma in rent, and that all goes to you. You don't see that Dad's fucking living in Canada to give you money. When will he be back? Do you know? Because I fucking don't. So please, stop. Think about other people for once in your fucking life. The whole world, your world, revolves around you. No one else.
I swear to God, it's family. Alright, shit. How did you get in my house?
Oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
No, it really is not fine. How did you get in?
Okay, so
Can you please
I have my
leave?
bag here.
You what?
I need a place to stay.
You what? You
Yeah,
need
I
a
just
place to stay?
Okay, so basically, right, long
Are
story
you
short,
fucking serious? You just
my dad works a lot.
You just barged into my house and asked for a place to stay. Are you mental? I'm not going to let you stay here. Why are you not letting me stay?
And he broke my heart because his patron didn't like Jewish people, which is fine. I'm completely used to that, but I just didn't think he was like that. So
You're not real, are you?
he broke my heart, and now I just need somewhere to stay. So here I am.
I'm not.
I'm just here.
Oh no, I'm going.
I'm going
out of my mind, haven't I?
Do you have?
Why are you here?
Some service or anything?
Yes, I do. And I'm going to be home in like 10 minutes, so I need to go. What?
Alright, do you have a bedroom?
Yeah, I do. It's upstairs. But you really need to go out the front door if that's possible. No,
I'll be really quick.
No, really don't. You have to come. Are you here? Why are you people here? I'm Rodrigo. Yeah. Oh, you're from a play too, aren't you? You're from Othello. Yeah, great. I'm still in this psychotic episode. So why are you here? Do you need to stay as well? No. Stay. No, I don't think so. Yeah. You're part of my stress manifestation. Is that a thing? Like, because I'm so obsessed with Shakespeare that you are figuring out my imagination, and this is logical, right? Okay, yeah, I can. No, I can't deal with this. Why are you here? Why me?
I came here because, I left after Venice.
No, back to bloody Venice.
I've been watching you, and I think you can help me become a player.
Player.
A player.
A player of what? A player on the stage. An actor. I can't help you do that.
I think you can help me out. I'll just show you what I can arrange. I have a monologue. We might need a visual for this, yeah. Just any YouTube clip or whatever is fine. Yeah, great, thanks.
My friends were all angry because there was nothing in Dublin for our age group. Or at least it seemed that way. Housing prices were rising hugely, making it difficult to afford the rent. The idea of actually owning your own home was laughable. There was no future. But I'd come to terms with that. That wasn't why I left. After 3 years out of college and trying to figure out how to actually survive in this country as an actor, I finally got the hang of it. I had regular acting jobs as well as a more regular job, which I actually enjoyed. Money wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. I had enough for a pretty good and fun life here. So, when a friend asked me to move to Canada, I said no. However, the idea festered in my mind for days. The more I thought about it, the more I came around to leaving. I mean, there was very little keeping me here. I was sharing an apartment in Dublin with some friends. Very easy to leave that. My jobs, while I didn't enjoy them, were never anything permanent. I'd just come out of a long relationship, so nothing romantically. I loved my family, but I only got to see them maybe twice a year, so it wouldn't be a huge change. Then my sense of adventure kicked in. The idea of existing somewhere else appealed to me. So I thought, I'm doing this, and I didn't look back. And the months leading up to me leaving were some of the most enjoyable I've had in Ireland. Lots of stress-free fun because I knew there was a destination at the end of it all. Working and saving because I was moving to Canada, and whenever anybody asked me why I was doing it, I just said, why not? I left Ireland with a big bag of clothes, my laptop, and my guitar. That was it. I didn't have a place to stay, but this was my choice. I wanted this to be an adventure. But it struck me how normal it all was for me to be leaving. Because I was just one of thousands of young people leaving, some out of anger, some out of desperation, some just for fun. But it was seen as normal for those of us in our mid-20s to be leaving our country. London, Canada, US, Australia. That's where our future is, it seems, and not here at home. But there is something unique about Ireland. A mentality that I miss in Canada. A sense of humour that I love, a self-deprecation that is both hilarious and necessary. I've spent 2 years in Canada and I've learnt more about myself than I ever thought possible. I love the huge cities next to the pristine wilderness, the cheap beer, and the hugely diverse foods. I'm happy here.
Wow. I just think it's good, doesn't it? Yeah, look, I just let it sit in your head for a while. Yeah, you said, you know, someone else, Venetian. Yeah, well, she must be good looking, so had you. Not even funny anymore.
Any news? Your beard. I like it. It's getting so long, and your hair.
Yeah.
It's nice. It suits you. It's groovy.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually getting on great. I have a job. First week I was here, I had 4 interviews. Got offered 3 jobs, and I got to pick the best one. So I was just working nights last week. So yeah, it's really good, and the atmosphere is so much better. Like, I'm working in a pediatric ward, and all the kids are so cute, and there's no children on trolleys or anything like that, so it's so much better than back home. And then also, whenever I get like 3 days off, because the pay is so good, we get to just go and like travel. So I've been to the Gold Coast like twice now, and all the parties are so good. Like, I was actually at a beach party the other day, and I saw this guy from Home and Away, and I was like, oh man, you would have loved that. Like,
No.
Anyways, then other than that, no, it's been great. It's just been so much fun. What about you? How are you getting on?
Good, yeah. John moved to Canada. Couldn't get a job here, so.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Adam has moved to the south of France about 4 weeks ago, teaching English, so kind of on my own. But no, it's fine. Look, it's fine. How's the wilderness? How's creepy crawlies? How's
the wildlife?
Yeah.
Oh god, it's awful. Every morning you have to like bang your shoes at the end of the bed in case there's like a spider in it, because if you stand on it, it can kill you. Actually, the other day I was making coffee before I was going to work, and I was in the kitchen. There was a gecko on the wall. It was the tiniest, cutest little thing. But then, like, you could hear it like running around everywhere. It was kind of creepy, but at the same time, it was really cute.
Yeah.
Anyways, oh wait, how's Mark?
Mark.
And are the two of you getting on now, or?
There's an age gap.
It's
hard. It's hard to get over, but I called you actually because I wanted to talk to you about something.
Yeah, just a minute, I'm talking to your friend back home.
Who's that?
Oh, it's Richie. When I moved over here, I moved in with him. He had a free room or whatever, and we kind of, we hit it off. But like, it was nice. Like, I wasn't looking at like for anything when I came over, especially like after us and everything, but I don't know, it was lovely to kind of just have someone who already had friends here and family, and kind of made it feel a bit more homely, especially since like it did get lonely at the start moving over here and stuff like that. Like, I would have loved to have had you here, but this is the way things go. But what about you? Any ladies?
Sex life non-existent. I actually have to go to the pub. One of the lads, new kegs, all this stuff. I have to teach them. I'm sorry, I really am.
Yeah.
Can we rearrange? I don't know your schedule, so I'm not entirely
Well, chill up, right? We'll organise another time.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Jacob, what sayest thou, noble heart?
What should I do? Think that
I go to bed and sleep.
I will incontinently drown myself.
Well, if thou dost, I shall never love thee after. Why, thou silly gentleman?
It is silliness to live when to live is torment. And we have a prescription to die when death is our physician.
Oh, villainous. I had looked upon the world for 4 times 7 years, and since I could distinguish betwixt a benefit and an injury, I never found a man that knew how to love himself. Ere I would say I would drown myself for the love of a guinea hen, I would change my humanity with a baboon.
What should I do? I confess it is my shame to be so fond, but it is not in my virtue to amend it.
Virtue? A fig! 'Tis in ourselves that we are thus. Our bodies are our gardens, to the which our wills are gardeners, so that if we plant nettles or sow lettuce, set hyssop and weed up thyme, supplied with one gender of herbs or distracted with many, either to have it sterile with idleness or manured with industry, Why the power and incorrigible authority of this lies in our wills. If the balance of our lives had not one scale of reason to poison another of sensuality, why the blood and baseness of our natures would conduct us to the most preposterous conclusions, but we have reason to cool our raging motions, our carnal stings, our unbited lusts, whereof I take this that you call love to be a sect or a scion.
It cannot be.
It is merely a lust of the blood and a permission of the will. Come, be a man. Drown thyself. Drown cats and blind puppies.
I came to Ireland because of a girl. She was an Irish girl, and I met her in Austria. We like each other a lot, and I felt really good because I was able to be smooth in English as well as in Czech, if you know what I mean. So I visited her in Ireland a year and a half ago for 9 days. I also met people from Kildare Youth Theatre, KYT, which I met in Austria as well. So when my university offered me to do Erasmus, I decided for Ireland, to work there for KYT and Peter Hussey. I was preparing for my internship a whole year. I watched more and more English-speaking TV shows and movies. Sometimes, when I was drunk, I started to talk in English, so I could prove that I am able to speak in any situation. I even learned a bit of Irish slang, so sometimes I said to my friends things like, we having the sesh or what's the crack. They couldn't understand me, but it just felt good. Everything was going to plan, and then I finally got here, and it was different. People are less touchy here, but more polite in talking. Perhaps when everybody asking you, how are you? You feel great that they are interested in you. But they don't get confused because they don't actually mean it. But sometimes they do, so you just can't know. Ordering food was quite confusing from start as well, because if you want fries, you need to say chips. But if you want chips, you need to say, and I'm sorry, this is kind of difficult to say in Czech, you need to say crisps. Yeah. And how is it now? Well, I'm drinking tea with milk every day, and I can't imagine why I wouldn't.
I arrived in Ireland on a Monday morning, beginning of October. In Italy, autumn days are like a dance of leaves in a warm sun on the notes of a Rino Gaetano song. Or maybe it's just what I want to think every time I'm about to leave my country and I start feeling nostalgic. I arrived at Dublin Airport from Paris because my boyfriend is living there, even though he's Italian. But Italians are living everywhere nowadays, and not only because we are part of the so-called Erasmus generation. Italy cannot offer anything to young people right now except for unpaid jobs, so we are experiencing a real diaspora. So, last October, after studying 5 years in Pisa, spending some months in Lyon, moving to Rome for love, doing Erasmus in Athens, moving to Paris for the same love, I arrived in Ireland. In order to teach Italian, I could choose between UK and Ireland, but after Paris, I really needed kind, friendly people. Post-Brexit, England didn't attract me so much. I had never been in Ireland before, but something attracted me. An historical revolution against the empire. sad songs, a past and a present of migration, good beers, and big skies. It was enough. I mean, as is always the case, nothing is easy when you are alone in a new place. Sometimes you feel invisible. Sometimes there is nothing to do. Sometimes you really miss your family, your dog, all the nights spent with your housemate, talking and dreaming and doing nothing. Sometimes you are quite alone and you don't exist when you are alone. You are nobody. But when you are alone in a new place, you feel the freedom to be anybody, to perform a different role and to be another person, and it's cool. And after all, you feel the freedom to move around, to change if you are not happy. As an Italian, as a European citizen with my passport in my pocket, and all the papers I will need to work almost everywhere, I feel my privilege. The privilege to be born in the easiest part of the world, compared to all the people that in the last few years died in the waves of my sea in the effort to reach the country I left.
You see, my mum and dad, they were young and they were hopeful. That's probably why you have to leave a country like Nigeria. Like, don't get me wrong, Nigeria is a fantastic country, but it's completely soaked in corruption. You see, the division between the working class and elites is absolutely ridiculous. So that's why you leave. There's too much stacked against you. So we arrived in Kildare, then I moved to Newbridge. See, I've been to Nigeria twice on holidays, so it's completely alien to me. I would consider myself Irish, but Ireland never really felt like home. To my African friends, I was more Irish, and to my Irish friends, I was more African, so I didn't really know where to fit in. When I was 15, I had a major identity crisis. I would not even let my friends speak to my mum because I didn't want them to hear the thick Nigerian accent. Because most of the time people associate Nigeria with a third world country, and what you associate with a third world country is poverty-stricken, uncivilized, and I don't want to be like that. But then you have to kind of have some time to self-love and realize that you're from two places, and that's perfectly fine, that's okay, there's no problem with that. So now, standing here in front of you guys, I dare anyone here to say I'm not Irish.
I didn't move here because I wanted to. I moved here because I had to. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it here, but the things I had to do and the things I had to face to become the person I am today made me wish that I came here under different circumstances. So I was born and raised in Libya, in a great, beautiful city called Tripoli. My father is Sudanese, my mother is Moroccan, so that's why I'm mixed. So on February 15, 2011, the Libyan revolution started then, a couple of days after the Libyan civil war broke out, and things started to get bad. So after 4 months, my family decided to leave and head to the UNICEF refugee camp in Tunisia, not far from the Libyan border. Of course, we had to leave few stuff, friends, home. Moving to that camp for 6 months was rough, but the community that lived in it changed the whole atmosphere for me. Was it that bad? Yes. It was extremely hot, and we slept in tents, so that was glamorous. The food wasn't that bad at first, but imagine eating the same meals all week, all months even. As I said, the community changed everything for me. We had our daily routines. We played volleyball in the morning and football in the afternoon, of course, after having our rice and beans. Now, the UNICEF organization started interviewing my family, and for 2 solid months, to see which countries wouldn't accept our refuge, to study our files. And that's when Ireland came in the picture. They selected 4 families, including mine. Then 4 months later, it was the time that I had to move from Tunisia to Ireland. I remember our flight was at 6 o'clock in the morning, from Tunisia to Germany, then to Germany to Ireland. It was a long trip, but I enjoyed it. Moving to Ireland was one of the best things that ever happened to me. It was really awesome. But I realized that moving to Ireland with no English equals no friends. So that led me to have no social life. So I stayed in all week, all day, all week. Stayed in all day watching movies, TV shows, playing tons of video games, listening to a lot of music. And eventually, after 1 year, I was able to have a full conversation with someone. I still wouldn't understand what you were saying, but I'd keep the conversation going. So it's been 5 years now, and when people ask me, how did you manage to learn in just 1 year, I'll always say, I owe it to acting.
It was a morning in May, the last week of May last year. It was sunny, one of those beautiful days in late May that promises a glorious summer. I was passing the park here and I noticed my mother. She was in the park with 5 or 6 women and about 4 children, and they were wrapping wool of every colour you can imagine around trees and benches. There were 3 men from tidy towns going about with ladders and helping them reach the trunks that were higher up. At one of the picnic tables, there were 3 lads from the Patrician Secondary School with their books spread out studying for the Leaving Cert. A man shared the table reading a book. I'd seen him here before. At the next table, there was an elderly couple, just sitting and looking at the river. A woman was walking her big Labrador down the path. And walking along the river, in it, there was a man fly fishing. And he was casting his line as he slowly made his way up the river. The blossoms of 2 apple trees fell over all of it. And no one was paying attention to anybody else. They all behaved as if this was ordinary. I was stunned. In the great scheme of things, this was not ordinary. This was my town in early summer. Here was the West in peacetime. Here was the picture postcard of the Western civic lifestyle. Here was what wars had been fought over for centuries of human progress. In this little town, in this little park, in front of my eyes, in the actual here and now, with my mother in the middle of it all. And I thought, isn't this worth sharing?
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world through 7 seas. Every